All right, so this is Jeep update 48, and 48, we start to reassemble the Jeep. So there is literally so much to do. I honestly don't even know where to begin. So I've got the new brake lines to put in, but I can't put those in all the way because I'm not using the factory proportioning valve. So I can get them to the point where they meet, but that's about as far as I can take it until I get the engine in and I can see where the engine's gonna sit, and then I can figure out how to run the brake lines and join them together with unions and how to run the brake lines around the new motor. The wiring I can get a little bit done, but I can't do a lot in the engine compartment because the motor's not in yet. I can't wire up my dash yet because I don't have the new gauges that I ordered aren't in yet. So I'm kind of restricted with what I can do, but I can put the pedals back in. I can put my heater core back in. I think I can get away with putting my battery tray on. I can put the new brake lines on, at least to a certain point. Another thing that I've come to realize is that I'm gonna have to drop the gas tank. And I've done it once, and if there's one thing I hate doing on this Jeep, it's dropping the gas tank. And first time that I did it was right before I welded in the new floor panels, and I made sure that it was, you know, an eighth of a tank, a quarter of a tank, so it was pretty light, and the old tank was really rusty and kind of a pain to get out. I bought a new tank, put that in with stainless steel bolts, so getting it out isn't gonna be, unbolting it's not gonna be hard, but it's about 3/4 of the way full, and it's gonna be pretty heavy, and the Jeep's much taller now than it used to be. So again, not a big deal, not a huge deal, but I'm gonna have to drop the gas tank for really two reasons. One is with the new setup, with the new motor, I don't think I'm gonna use a return line, and the line that goes to the charcoal canister, I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with that either, so I'm gonna plug off the return line, but I wanna take the old line out and plug it off at the gas tank. I'm probably going to replace the fuel line that comes up on the passenger side frame rail that goes directly to the fuel pump. I'm probably going to, that one is original and it looks original, and I want to replace that. The other reason to drop the gas tank is when you run your wires to your rear lights, it runs in the channel literally above the gas tank, and there's two connectors that hold it up there to the bottom of the body of the Jeep that you can't get to without removing the gas tank, or at least I wasn't able to get my hand up in there to get it out. So I pulled it really hard and it came out, but certainly not the right way to do it, and I've come this far, so got to drop the gas tank, and again, not looking forward to that at all. So I know I'm jumping around a little bit here, but I can also put on the power brake booster, at least the bracket that goes on there. I don't want to put the big power booster on and the new master cylinder because I think that'll get in the way when we try to put the motor in. So I can at least get that bracket on there, and that attaches to, on the inside of the Jeep, the pedals, the brake and the clutch pedals. So that's kind of all one assembly. I can go ahead and put that on. And then I think last but not least, I can at least get the new steering column mounted. Got to look at the steering column because there should be two holes on it on the new steering column where the ignition switch bolts down to, and I haven't seen those, but I haven't really looked at it. So I got to get that steering column out once I get the brake pedal in, because that front part of that brake pedal is where two screws go in for your steering column to help hold that up. So I can at least get the steering column in and kind of loosely mount it. I'm not going to mount it permanently because I want some wiggle room when I do end up doing the dash wiring. I don't want that thing to be sealed up and tight. I want some wiggle room, and I learned when I disassembled everything that made it a lot easier to get some of that wiring out. All right, so that's the plan for this Jeep update. I'm sure there's a couple parts out there that I'm not thinking about, but let's get into it and let's see what kind of progress I can make. And good old Jake here has told me that he's going to help me. Jake, you going to help? You going to help, buddy? Yeah, he's going to help, all right. Yeah, that's what he's got to say to that, huh? There you go. All right, so the heater core's back in the Jeep. Kind of a pain to get back in, and it's never easy to get that thing in and out. Now, I did some pretty extensive videos on my heater rebuild and the upgraded blower motor that I have. But since I have this level of visibility to the firewall, let me show you real quick where the 4 bolts are that hold your heater in. So there's your blower motor, and above to the left is 1 bolt. Below to the right is another. Right above your heater core. And then this guy out here that hangs out in the middle of your firewall, which is really a pain because when you have an engine in there, it's blocked by the valve cover. So if you have any questions about your heater and how to rebuild that thing, check out my previous video on that. I'll put a link down in the description. All right, so the heater's back in. I keep saying heater core, but it's the entire heater assembly's back in. And I got my pedals in. And I think those things look so cool. I don't know why I like these pedals so much, but I really like them. All right, I've got one potential issue here with the accelerator pedal. And this ridge right here is from when I welded in my patch panels. And when you push this all the way down, get stuck on it. Now I'm going to have a floor mat down, but that's still not good, so I need to make sure that we troubleshoot that at some later point. I know there's no tension on the pedal, but just got to make sure I write that on the punch list of things to fix. All right, I did replace my brake light switch, and there is the part number there. Since I'm doing all this and had all this out, I went ahead and replaced it. I can't show it to you because the lighting sucks, but it's up there. All right, let's see what else we can put back together. All right, the back of the Jeep here, I got my rear brake lines on. I think they turned out real nice. They look great. I'll show you guys these fasteners here in a minute, but I did get these off of Amazon. They're just rubber insulated clamps, and they're stainless steel. So they work good. And let's see, I got another one right there. The brake lines look awesome. Really happy with them. All right, so here's the clamp kit that I got. Bought it on Amazon. I don't think it was too much, maybe about 10 bucks. Pretty nice assortment of insulated clamps, and they're all stainless steel, so not a bad deal. And again, that's what I ended up having to use for my brake lines. It looks really good. Alright, so this is my gas tank, and I know earlier in the video I said I was going to drop the gas tank, but I decided not to. One, because it's a pain in the butt and probably my least favorite thing to do on this Jeep. And number two, I remembered that I had already previously replaced all the lines when I dropped the gas tank out. And so I just found the return line and I clamped it off. Hey buddy, so that is the return line on the ground there that Jake is keeping a watchful eye over. And I took that out because I'm not going to run a return line with the setup that I'm going to use. All right, so there's the gas tank right there from underneath the Jeep. And you can see the new brake line there. And it comes up around. All right, so the brake line comes over there, and then it runs kind of that same place that it ran from the factory all the way up to where the factory proportioning valve used to be, which is right here. Now this other line I'll hook up to my charcoal canister, and that helps. It sends all the, it's just a vent line for the gas tank, and it just sends the fumes in there, and then the charcoal canister filters them out, and you don't smell the gas smell that you typically smell with these old Jeeps. All right, so one thing I have to do, because I know from watching other videos and reading the instructions on mounting the new motor, that this bump stop for the differential is going to interfere with the location of the new motor mounts. So unfortunately, I've got to try to cut that thing off. So I'm going to try with a cutoff wheel, see if I can get her done. All right, actually that wasn't too bad. Came off actually pretty easy. I thought it was certainly gonna fight me there for a minute, but let me smooth out those frame rails a little bit and be ready to go. All right, so that went pretty smooth. That got it all ground down, polished up and everything, and ready to, once we get to that stage, ready to weld in the new motor mounts with that thing out of the way. I guess so much for my pretty paint job, huh? I didn't think that through very well. Because we're going to have to grind off where we're going to weld anyways, so I should have waited and painted after we welded the motor mounts in. But hey, that's how you learn, right? Alright, so as far as I've got my brake pedals, all my pedals back in. I've got my heater, the entire heater assembly put back in. I installed this bracket here that holds the charcoal canister. Got the brake booster bracket there. And then I put on my battery tray, and I did run my rear brake lines in their entirety. So I'm not going to put on the front brake lines until we see where the motor mounts go, because they have to go around the motor mounts. And while I have a approximate location, I certainly don't want those in the way when we're welding in when I'm welding in the new motor mounts. All right, so that's it for this Jeep update. I hope you enjoyed the reconstruction here and some of the I guess the beginning of the reassembly of the Jeep. Lots of work to do, lots more cool stuff to come. Stay tuned to the channel. And if you like this video, you like the content of the channel, hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching.